You ever drive at night on a road you've never been on before? Windows down, radio playing nothing but darkness and trees on both sides? There's something peaceful about it, isn't there? Until it's not. Warm up by the fire tonight, friend, because what I'm about to tell you happened on a road just like that. A road called Raven Creek Highway. And after you hear this story, you might think twice before taking that shortcut through the woods. You might choose the long way home instead. I'm telling you this because I need you to understand something. I'm not superstitious. I don't believe in ghosts or curses or things that go bump in the night. Or at least, I didn't. Not until 3 months ago. Not until I drove down that road and something decided to come home with me. It started on a Friday night in August. I was driving back from a wedding in upstate New York, about 4 hours from my place in Pennsylvania. The reception had gone late, too much wine, too much dancing, and I should have just gotten a hotel room. But I was young and stupid, and convinced I could make it home. Around midnight, my GPS did that thing where it recalculates and suggests a faster route. Said it would save me 45 minutes. The new route took me off the highway and onto a series of back roads I'd never heard of. I should have ignored it. Should have stayed on the main roads with their lights and gas stations and other cars. But 45 minutes is 45 minutes, and I want to be in my own bed. So I took the turn, onto Route 47, then onto County Road 12, then onto something called Raven Creek Highway, a narrow, two-lane road that cuts straight through dense forest. No streetlights, no houses, no other cars, just my headlights cutting through the darkness and trees pressing in from both sides. The radio started acting up almost immediately. Static, then silence, then voices speaking in languages I didn't recognize, cutting in and out like I was scanning through stations even though I wasn't touching the dial. I turned it off. The silence was worse. That's when I saw the first sign. Weathered wood, barely visible in my headlights. Raven Creek, 15 miles. Underneath, in smaller letters, travelers advised to pass through before sunset. Who puts a warning like that on a town sign? I laughed it off. Probably some local joke. Some tourist trap trying to seem mysterious. I kept driving. The road curved and twisted through the forest. My high beams caught glimpses of things between the trees. Deer, I told myself, or foxes. But they move wrong. Too fast. Too fluid. There and gone before I could really see them. 5 miles later, another sign. Raven Creek, 10 miles. Do not stop between markers. Between markers? What markers? I hadn't seen any markers. Just endless road and endless trees. The unease was building now. That feeling you get when your instincts are screaming at you that something is wrong, even though logically everything seems fine. I thought about turning around, but the road was too narrow, the trees too close. I'd have to find a wider spot to make a 3-point turn. And something about the idea of stopping, of sitting still on that road, made my skin crawl. So I kept going forward. What else could I do? Another few miles. Another sign. Raven Creek, 5 miles. If you see lights in the forest, do not follow them. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel now. This wasn't funny anymore. This wasn't some quirky local humor. These signs were warnings. Real warnings. And that's when I saw it. Off to the left, maybe 50 yards into the forest. A light, pale blue, floating between the trees. Moving slowly, deliberately, parallel to the road. I kept my eyes forward. Didn't look directly at it, but I could see it in my peripheral vision. 1 light became 2, then 3, then a dozen pale blue lights, weaving between the trees, keeping pace with my car. I pressed the gas pedal down. The speedometer climbed. 45, 50, 55, as fast as I dared on these curves. The lights kept pace. No matter how fast I went, they stayed with me, floating to the forest like they were tethered to my car by invisible strings. Then I rounded a curve and saw something in the road ahead. A figure, standing in the middle of my lane. Tall, impossibly tall, with arms that hung down too long, and a head that tilted at an angle that made my brain hurt to look at. I slammed on the brakes. The car skidded, tires screaming. I was going to hit it. There was no way I could stop in time. But the figure didn't move. Just stood there, watching me come closer and closer. At the last second, I jerked the wheel to the right, swerving around it. My car fishtailed, back and sliding on the loose gravel at the road's edge. For a moment, I thought I was going into the ditch, into the trees, into those pale blue lights. But I regained control, straightened out, kept going. In my rear view mirror, I could see the figure still standing in the road, not moving, not turned to watch me go, just standing there, impossibly tall, impossibly still. My heart was hammering so hard I could feel in my throat. My hands were white-knuckled on the wheel. Every instinct I had was screaming at me to get off this road, to get away from this place. And then I saw the lights ahead. Real lights, house lights, street lights. The welcome sign for Raven Creek. Population 847. Drive safely. I'd made it through whatever that was. I was in town now. Safe. Normal. I pulled over at the first gas station I saw. Sat in my car, the engine running and the doors locked. Trying to catch my breath. Try to convince myself that what I'd just seen was exhaustion. Was my imagination. Was anything other than real. That's when I noticed something in my rear view mirror. Something sitting in my back seat. Before I tell you what happened next, I need you to do something for me. If you're out there listening to these stories, if you're drawn to these tales of things that shouldn't exist, then subscribe to this channel. Share these stories. Because what I'm about to tell you isn't just entertainment. It's a warning. And warnings need to be heard by as many people as possible. Now, where was I? Right, the back seat. I looked in the rear view mirror, and there was something sitting behind me. Not the tall figure from the road. Something smaller. Something that looked almost human. But not quite. It was hunched over, wearing what looked like old, tattered clothes. Its face was turned away from me, looking out the window at the gas station. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move, couldn't even scream. Just stared at this thing in my mirror, sitting in my back seat like it belonged there. Then it turned its head, slowly, deliberately, until it was looking at me in the mirror. Its face, God, its face. It looked like someone had taken a human face and stretched it. The eyes were too far apart. The mouth was too wide. And it was smiling. This terrible, impossible smile that showed too many teeth. "Thank you for the ride," it said. Its voice was like wind through dead leaves. Like fingernails on glass. Like everything wrong in the world condensed into sound. I lunged for the door handle. Threw myself out of the car. Hit the pavement hard. Scrambled to my feet and ran toward the gas station, not looking back, not thinking, just running. I burst through the doors. The clerk, a teenage kid with headphones in, looked up, startled, called the police. I shouted, "There's something in my car." He pulled out his headphones. "What?" "My car? There's something in my back seat. Something that shouldn't be there." He gave me that look. That look that said he thought I was drunk or high or crazy. "Sir, are you okay? Do you need me to call someone?" "Just look." I pointed at my car through the window. "Look at the back seat." He stood up, leaned over the counter to get a better view. Squinted at my car sitting under the gas station lights. "Sir, there's nobody in your car." "What?" "Your back seat's empty. See for yourself." I turned to look. He was right. Through the window, I could clearly see my back seat. Empty. Just some fast food bags and an old jacket. Nothing else. But I saw it was right there. "Look, man," the clerk said, not unkindly. "You probably fell asleep at the wheel for a second. Happens all the time on these back roads. Why don't you get some coffee? Splash some water on your face. There's a motel 2 blocks down if you need to rest." I wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him what I'd seen on that road, what had climbed into my car. But the words died in my throat. Because maybe he was right. Maybe I had dozed off. Maybe exhaustion and darkness and winding roads had played tricks on my mind. I bought coffee. Sat in the gas station for 20 minutes. Drinking it. Watching my car. Waiting for something to move in the back seat. Nothing did. Finally, I convinced myself it was safe. Walked back to my car. Opened the door slowly. keeping my eyes on the back seat. Still empty. I got in, started the engine. The radio came on by itself, still tuned to static and those strange foreign voices. I turned it off, locked all the doors, and I drove. The rest of Raven Creek Highway was normal, regular road. Eventually, it connected to another county route, then to the highway. I made it home by 3 a.m., exhausted, shaken, but safe. I told myself it was over. Whatever had happened on that road, I'd left it behind in Raven Creek. I was home now, in my own apartment, in my own bed, safe. But that first night, I woke up at 3:17 a.m. to the sound of something moving in my living room. I lay there in the dark, listening. Footsteps, slow, heavy, moving around my apartment, but not like someone walking, like something learning how to walk. Each step deliberate, experimental. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and crept to my bedroom door, peered out into the living room. Nothing. The room was empty. Everything exactly as I'd left it. But the front door was open, just a few inches, just enough to let in the cold night air. I knew I'd locked it. I always locked it. I was obsessive about locking doors. I closed it, checked the deadbolt twice, went back to bed, didn't sleep. The next night, the same thing. Woke up at 3:17 a.m. Sounds in the living room. Front door standing open. This went on for a week. Every night, 3:17 a.m., sound of something moving through my apartment. And every morning, I'd find things moved. Pictures turned to face the wall. Chairs pulled away from the table. My shoes arranged in a line leading from my bedroom door to the front door, like something was showing me the way out. I started sleeping with the lights on. Started staying up until dawn. Started thinking I was losing my mind. Then, a week after my drive through Raven Creek, I came home from work to find muddy footprints in my apartment, leading from the front door to my bedroom, to my closet, and stopping there. The footprints weren't human. They were too long, too narrow, with too many toes. I stood there, staring at these impossible footprints, and I realized something that made my blood run cold. Whatever had gotten into my car on that road hadn't just followed me home. It had moved in. I grabbed my keys, my wallet, my phone, left everything else, went to a hotel, stayed there for 3 days, finally worked up the courage to go back. The apartment was trashed, furniture overturned, walls scratched, every mirror in the place shattered, and written on my bedroom wall in something dark and sticky, "Thank you for the ride. Now I need another." I didn't go back to that apartment. Called my landlord, told him there'd been a break-in, broke my lease, and ate the penalty. Moved across the city to a new place, new building, new neighborhood, far away from anything that might remind me of Raven Creek Highway. For a month, everything was fine, quiet, normal. I started to relax, started to convince myself that whatever it was had stayed behind in the old apartment. Maybe it was tied to that space. Maybe I'd finally escaped it. Then, exactly 1 month after I moved, I woke up at 3:17 a.m. to the sound of something moving in my new living room. I didn't get up this time, didn't investigate, just lay there in bed, listening to those footsteps learning how to walk, listening to things being moved around, listening to my front door being open and closed, like something was practicing. In the morning, I found a note on my kitchen table, written in that same dark, sticky substance. "You can't move away from me. I live in you now." That's when I started researching. Spent every free hour digging through local legends, folklore, anything I could find about Raven Creek Highway. Turns out, I'm not the first person this has happened to. Not by a long shot. There are dozens of stories online. Hundreds, maybe, people who drove down that road late at night. People who saw the lights in the forest. People who swerved around the tall figures standing in the middle of the road. And people who felt something get into their car. Something that followed them home. Something that wouldn't leave. The stories all follow the same pattern. It starts with sounds in the night. Things being moved. Doors opening. Then it escalates. Footprints. Messages. Scratches on walls. And finally, people start seeing it. Not in mirrors, not in photographs, but in their peripheral vision. Always there, always watching, always waiting. One woman posted about how she saw it standing in her bedroom doorway every night. She'd wake up and it would be there, tall and wrong and smiling that terrible smile. Just standing, watching her sleep. She moved 4 times. It followed her each time. Another man wrote about how it started appearing in his dreams. Not chasing him, not attacking, just existing in the background, in every dream, standing in corners, sitting in chairs, present in every moment of sleep. He stopped sleeping, started taking pills to stay awake, had a breakdown. Last post was from a hospital. I found a forum dedicated to people who'd driven Raven Creek Highway at night. They called themselves the passengers, because that's what these things were. Passengers who got into your car on that road and never got out. Some people claimed they'd found ways to get rid of them. Rituals, prayers, exorcisms. But none of them worked for long. The things always came back. Because once you've given them a ride, once you've taken them off that road, they're bound to you. The only solution anyone found was to go back. Drive Raven Creek Highway again, during daylight this time. And when you reach the spot where you saw the tall figure, you stop. You open your passenger door. And you wait. If you're lucky, the thing will leave. Will climb out of your car and walk back into the forest. Will return to wherever these things come from. If you're not lucky, well, the stories don't talk about what happens then. I've been planning my trip back for 2 weeks now. Mapped out the route. Made sure I'll arrive in Raven Creek during the day. Made sure I'll have enough time to drive that road in full sunlight before sunset. Because I can't keep living like this. Can't keep waking up at 3:17 a.m. to the sound of something moving through my home. Can't keep seeing that tall, wrong figure in the corner of my vision. Can't keep finding messages written in substances I don't want to identify. Tomorrow, I'm driving back to Raven Creek. Back to that haunted road. Back to the place where I picked up a passenger I never asked for. And I'm going to try to drop it off. If you're hearing this story after tomorrow, well, that means I made it back. Means I'm alive. Means maybe I'm finally free. If you're not hearing from me again, then I suppose that means the road kept me. That became another warning sign. Another story for people to tell around fires like this one. But here's what you need to know. Here's what I'm telling you before I go back to that place. If you ever find yourself on a dark road you don't recognize, and you see signs warning you about something, listen to them. Don't laugh them off. Don't assume it's a joke. Turn around. Take the long way. Add those extra 45 minutes to your drive. Because some shortcuts aren't worth taking. Some roads should only be traveled in daylight. And some things, once they climb into your car, will never climb out. I learned this the hard way. On Raven Creek Highway. On a night in August when I thought I knew better than the warning signs. I didn't know better. None of us do. So, if you're ever driving late at night and your GPS suggests a faster route through somewhere you've never been, maybe ignore it. Maybe stick to the roads you know. The roads with lights and gas stations and other people. Because the things that live on those dark, forgotten roads are always hungry. Always waiting. Always looking for someone to give them a ride. And once you do, they're yours forever. The fire remembers what the living try to forget, and I only tell what it shows me. I'm leaving at dawn, driving back to Raven Creek. I don't know what I'll find there. Don't know if this will work. But I can't live like this anymore. Can't live with something in my home that shouldn't exist. Something that watches me sleep. Something that writes messages on my walls. So wish me luck, friend. And if you ever see my car broken down on the side of Raven Creek Highway, with the passenger door hanging open and nobody inside, just keep driving. Don't stop. Don't try to help. Because it might not be me in there anymore. It might be the thing I picked up, waiting for its next ride. Good night, and drive safely.